Marvel, I know what you're doing. I mean, you got me this time, but you're not going to get me again. See, what you did was, you put Chris Claremont's name on a book. Plus, pretty cool cover. So you know what, you got me, but it's not going to happen again. See, Chris Claremont, anyone who knows anything, even remotely about comics, knows that he built up the X-Men back in the day, but then eventually they totally screwed him over. They wanted to control his stories, make them more bite-sized, less of those huge overarching stories. It's basically what built up the brand. He didn't agree with the guys who left Marvel to start Image to contract them to still write the X-Men. It's all jumbled in my brain, but you know what? All you need to know is Marvel screwed him at the end. Now, I don't know what Chris Claremont has been doing since then, and I refuse to do any research because it's more fun to me to come up with theories. So here's what I'm thinking happened. Chris Claremont, and I know this is not what happened at all, so just calm down. Chris Claremont, they finally give him the kibosh, they give him the axe. He's walking from Marvel offices. He's got his box, he's got the potted plant, he's got a baguette for some reason, he's got some Nathan hot dogs wrappers in there. But as he's like almost out of the lobby, you hear like, and they hit him with a curare dart, right? And then they put his body in some sort of, cryogenic preservation tank, and they're just keeping him alive. And all that time, he's getting beamed in video messages right into his brain based on the current management of Marvel's sort of philosophy. Early 2000s, edgy shit everywhere. Then, a couple years later, new. Everything that old is new again, Ultimate Universe, blah, blah, blah. Now, the tens, it's like, I don't really remember Marvel now, this stuff. Then, hey, let's bring obscure bitches from nowhere to write comics that are bad. Put that shit in there. And then they're like, look, we gotta do something. We gotta bring people back in. We gotta get some old people back into this fold. Boom, we'll wake him up. We'll put his name on an X-Men book, and then we'll just go. And I feel like that's exactly what they did, because even though Magneto is on the cover of this, the person who should be on this is Kate. Who is Kate? Kate is a young girl who works in her family's diner, because that is who this comic is mostly about. Now, I just want to say, I'm sure a lot of people complained about like the social messaging of this, and other people will say the X-Men have always been like that. Yeah, but see, the thing is, Chris Claremont has proven, even though he's, like, I've read some old Chris Claremont, it's wordy as all hell, but you know what, it's good, it's interesting, and yes, it does deal with social issues. This, I don't know what happened. His programming should have been updated, or they should have kept him on ice even longer. So let's just get into this. And I'm going to make a parallel to the Nightwing comic. So, in the Nightwing comic, I made this, like, that didn't get a lot of views. I was pretty surprised, because it seemed like a big issue. But it starts off in a diner, and I come up with a conspiracy theory that superheroes are seemingly spending like 60 to 70% of their time in diners, when meanwhile I haven't been in a Waffle House in like 4 years. So I gotta start getting my percentages up. But let's just compare this, alright? I skipped the first couple pages, but we just see Magneto here. He's just chilling. And he's talking to this ugly girl while he's also being ugly. And just look at this face. Oh my god. So he's asking her, like, hey, you're a little too young to be waiting tables. What's so fun? Oh, yeah, everybody pitches in. Just remembering, my parents felt much the same when I was your age. I'm Kate. I once knew a Kate. Oh, look at me. I'm drawing. The name caught my attention. Yeah, the Gold Star, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a shit? Then they start talking about Lord of the Rings, which I am assuming is just because Sir Ian McKellen, he was in Lord of the Rings, he plays Magneto, blah, blah, blah. We get more of this shit about him and Kate just chit-chatting it up. Now, let's look at this Nightwing diner situation. Boom, first page, this waitress, I gotta tell you, I made the conjecture that this waitress, I mean, if she's dropping this shit in Bloodhaven, this must happen on a nightly basis, and the majority of her tips are just going to things that she's broken. So look at this. Ba-ba-ba, something's happening. We get this backstory here. We see the guy, Nightwing, he's making a proposition. He's like, yo, you can have my wallet. Boom! Then he's throwing a coffee cup at him, but he's not giving a one-liner because this is a new Nightwing. Go watch that video. I feel like that's pretty good. But see what I'm saying? Like, 2 pages in, there's a guy on the fucking ground. Meanwhile, back in, what is this? X-Men Black Magneto, we got these two bitches just yucking it up. And then we get, like, Chris Claremont. I don't know what happened, like, his programming that they were piping in. Did they just, like, never update it? Did they not create patches? Did they not preload in former Chris Claremont software? Because when you work at Marvel, they download your brain. But, like, what happened? Like, listen to this. Like, so, they're talking about Tolkien. Her mom read it to her when she was a kid because she used to be in the military or whatever, because literally every black woman in anything is in the military. It's fucking crazy. But he asked her if she's seen the movies, and she's like, or no, read the book. She said, no, I've seen the movies. And then she says this, how come you still read books? I want to stop this shit right there. How come you still read books? Holy shit. That is no. I read for pleasure. I read all the time, but I don't really think of myself as a reader, I guess, but like, this girl is at least like 14 or something. I don't even think a preschooler would be like, how come you still read books? How come you still, what? What the fuck is that question? If you see somebody reading, just the blanket question is, what are you reading? What's it about? She knows what's it about. What the fuck? How come you still read books? Chris Claremont, 2018. Or, you know what, maybe they just kept him in his cryogenic chamber and they just slapped his name on it because guess what? He's on ice. He can't awaken himself to defend himself and be like, hey, they're fucking using my name here. I don't know. I do all my reading on my phone. Of course you do. You don't like computers? You don't like computers. Or is Chris Claremont like so out of touch and he's just like trying? I don't even know what Chris Claremont looks like, but I feel like it's probably sad at this point. More like electronics, let's say we don't get along. And then he's like, he mentions, you know, it's easier to light a candle than an electric light. Yeah, sure, whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, then you should be pretty happy about this place because we don't rely on the power grid. Okay, so Chris Claremont, he's hitting the teens don't like books. Renewable energy, that's at the top. What are kids constantly talking about? They're texting their dicks to each other. They're talking about how they don't read, but then they're also talking about that renewable energy. That he's hitting everything. Well, he hasn't gotten to the dicks yet, but maybe this will be leading to something. Well, I mean, he would draw his dick and stamp it with his Magneto seal, and then she would open it at a later date. And she's like, oh, my dad used to work for NASA. The mom died in the military or something. But why are you a waitress in a fucking restaurant? Do astronauts get paid well? Surely. Or is, you know, the prestige of being an astronaut worth it? Like, a job well done. Oh. So he's drawing her, but then she sees this tattoo here. And, they're talking about the Holocaust or whatever. And, Jesus Christ. He's like, you remind me of my daughter. What? In what way? How come you still read books? How come you, like, I cannot fucking get over that. It's appalling. It is appalling. Like, that's my fucking bar. I haven't written a comic yet. I'm getting closer every day, but that's my fucking line is, as long as I write anything better than how come you read books, I'm fine. I think I will be president of Marvel by the end of it. But fuck, and so he's like, oh, you remind my daughter, but she died a long time ago. And then they don't do this. What the fuck is this touching? Also, this art is fucking just despicable. But, like, what is this touching, dude? If a fucking waitress put both of her hands on my arm, it would be a problem. It would definitely be an issue. But when you're like, oh, a young teen and an old-ass man, this is even more of a goddamn problem. Like, what the fuck? So then we're getting into the social justice shit of this, where they're basically talking about, you know, detention centers, but it's for mutants, so, you know, putting the mutant spin on it, which is a little bit more than what most writers do at Marvel now. They wouldn't have made it mutants at all. They'd just be like Mexicans or Hispanic people or whatever. Guatemalans, I hear, are also in there. But it's like, okay, of course it's going to be about this, but this little girl, she's like, this ain't right. This little girl who, like, if you just remove her hair, like, just pretend you can't see her hair, oh god, look at that. Looks like a 22-year-old guy when I do that. Jesus, I don't know what's going on with these faces. Also, a lot of these panels don't have backgrounds. It's just a color, or like a gradient color. So he's like, you aren't scared of mutants? Like, really telegraphing that you're a mutant there. And then she's like, no, it's not right. For indigenous people, the Native Americans, not for the Japanese Americans, not for anyone. They're kids, they haven't committed any crime, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we get it, we know. Everyone knows this. But then you got the rest of the people in this place. How can liberals be so stupid? Muty mind control. I'm gonna start blaming everything on muty mind control. You can fucking bet that. They're talking civil rights. We're talking the survival of the human race. Yes, mutants are fucking bad. And then he's like, it doesn't matter that these are American citizens. Haven't you been listening? Muties are not people. I don't know how many times I also have to say this, but no. So he says, many in your country feel differently, and they'll be like, oh no. What do you mean your country? You a foreigner? An immigrant? Or worse of all, some kind of beauty lover? And then, look at that. That is a grotesque looking face. Stop it, all of you. And then she points out his Holocaust tattoo, which is like, oh man, that's like, he's wearing sleeves for a reason. He doesn't want to broadcast that he's a Holocaust survivor. But then the people bring up a very, very good point here. Wasn't it 70 years ago? You look pretty spry for one of those survivors. Now, this is where an idea I had coming in. It's pretty bare bones. It's pretty, like, probably stupid, but it's probably, like, good for an alternate universe type of story. But I think Magneto needs a new origin. Because, look, how many Holocaust survivors are left? Probably less than 5. And I'm not talking about, the Nazi scientists who are down in Argentina and Brazil just fucking choking down vitamins and working out with, like, crazy German/Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and they're just getting ready, just shoveling protein powder and vitamins down their throat because they see that America is more divided than before. They're just getting ready for the race war, but little do they know that, when it happens, they come up, even like the what is it, Grand Dragon, Imperial Wizards or whatever, they're going to be like, ooh, even the German accent is like, it's a little too much for us. We can't get down with that. But I'm saying he needs a new, because look, you're telling me 20 years from now, Magneto's still going to be a Holocaust survivor? We gotta update this shit. I mean, there's literally limitless instances of humans causing other humans pain and suffering. How about do something like the Miley massacre? You could have him be a soldier. You could have him be one of the guys who just sees. You could change the village to mutants, or you could have him be in the village. You could do a race swap with him. And you could have this, like, I feel like the Vietnam War is, I don't know if there have been a lot of comics about that, but it's one of those things where it's like, oh, people today, my generation probably don't know a lot about it. I feel like there's a lot of fertile ground there, a lot of human atrocities you could do, but the Holocaust, it just, like, every year it keeps getting further and further away from it, so I'm just like, give them something new. Like, everybody knows, even dum-dums know that World War II, good guys, bad guys, that's it. You talk about the Vietnam War, it's more, like, oh, there's more gray areas, like, what is this? I feel like you could do some stuff with that. But, then we get back to this terrible comic, and, so, Yeah, they point out he's a Holocaust survivor, and then we see these fucking Arthur memes of clenched fists, and it's like, oh, is something gonna happen? Is something going to finally fucking happen? Kate should be on the cover of this. No, he just pays. He just pays. How can this be this so bad and uninteresting? Jesus Christ. So eventually he leaves the diner. He thinks he's gonna rumble, but then it's just Kate, and she's like, oh my god, you're a mutant. No, no. But, like, she was fine with mutants, so who gives a shit? And then we see some fighting with the X-Men and Magneto 24 hours ago, and you're like, oh, wow, he's just, like, well, I guess like a diner near the border is how you go to, like, detox from getting your ass kicked from the X-Men. But no, it was just a danger room simulation, and apparently he's been going pretty hard. And he's just fucking getting ready for it. Look at that. I don't know what it is about this art, but I'm not into it. So, eventually he ends up going toward the detention center for the mutants, because of course that's where he's going. And then he gets beat down by a Sentinel, which, wow, they have the same gang colors, so this is a little awkward, I have to say. But then he suits up somehow. We see, the guy in the thing, he keeps calling him mutie, which seems a little bit too casual. We see the people in the detention center talking about, like, the language is too casual here. Like, what the fuck? Imagine being in, like, a government facility and hearing, come on, boss, Magneto's an old man living off his rep. What? Hey, you're fucking fired. This is a formal institution here. You're talking about reps? You're talking about reps. And we're not talking about, like, physical fitness here? No. Maybe this time we've got him beat. What? Did you guys graduate high school? What the hell? Where's the sense of decorum here? And then he's just like, rip the fucking head off. And of course, Magneto, he just handles the Sentinel. A bunch of dudes come out with bullets, and he's like, come on. We've been through this. And then this woman appears, who I will, of course, be referring to as Joan of Arc. She appears here, and on my initial read, I thought maybe she was a mutant, you know, she's playing for the anti-mutie side, because she knows that the human race is superior to these damn muties. But no, I think he just is, like, controlling her, and I don't know what these are. So, he says, like, you people truly have no concept of who you're up against. That's funny, mister. Because I'm thinking exactly the same thing. Can we just burn your ass to the stake, please? But then, like, forget you to history? So, like, keep in mind this is what happens. They're outside. She's held in the air by him, and then she talks some shit. Just keep this in mind. And then he has this thing, and he's like, oh, this I hadn't expected. A woman in the prime of her youth. Believing she's about to die, but refusing to yield to the fear. And suddenly, in my mind's eye, I no longer see just her, but my lost daughter. Okay, I understand that. That's a good comparison, I guess, even though, like, gross. And Kitty Pryde, whom I almost slayed. Okay, these are all people that, you know, are a big deal. Oh, and also Kate, who trusted me. Kate should be on the goddamn cover of this. I don't know what's happening here. Put Chris Claremont back into the chamber. Put him back in there. And then we get this, where he takes everyone in the center, he, you know, blasts them out, and look at this. He's just got the lady here. He's talking about her, like, look, and then everybody's just sort of falling down. Remember that. So he held her, he kept holding her, and then he just lets her down on the ground. Alright? Remember that sequence of events here. He eventually goes into the detention center, frees all the muties. And then this lady says, like, weren't you paying attention? He didn't see me coming. Remember, he was totally ghosted. My first hit nearly took him down. What the fuck are you talking about? Where is that? Did anyone see that? There's fucking no way that this bitch... Granted, she got pretty damn close to him, which was kind of insane. But, like, look. Where was the hit? Did Chris Claremont forget to write the hit? Or was the, like, robot they took his brain out and put it where, like, Chris Claremont, like, forget Stanley. Stanley's about to die. What's up with Chris Claremont? Is anyone monitoring his health? Because I'm worried about it. And she said, for all his power, I was able to rip off his helmet. I hurt him. My mistake was not killing him with that first hit. Next time will be different. Yeah, so this, like, 45-year-old soccer mom who just looks like this almost killed Magneto. So close. She got fucking close. Yeah, and then it ends with, turns out he left a drawing for Kate, and there's some extra stuff with Apocalypse, which doesn't even matter. But I don't know what the fuck is this. How come you still read comic books? Anybody watching this? How come? You don't like computers?